Hi, Mickey.
Hey, Bob.
How you doing?
I'm fine, feeling exceptionally boomerish, but
Well,
you
you
know that
mean
happens.
is that a euphemism for old?
Well, it means I have a bad hair day, so I'm wearing a baseball hat, as we boomers do.
What does the hat say on it?
It says La Posada, which is a fancy restaurant in Winslow, Arizona.
Oh,
So you drive 1,000 miles, you wind up in Winslow, Arizona, and they say, "Wait, we're going to serve you." I don't know if you're up to it.
is
This is a
that the,
very
is that the
pretentious restaurant.
very is that at the very corner in Winslow, Arizona, where the guy is standing on a corner?
No,
So
it's right by the
Arizona?
train.
No, it's
It's an
not.
Ultra hotel by the train station. It's a great
Okay,
restaurant. They're just a little full of themselves.
aren't we all? So, Mickey, you ready for the news quiz? This week's news
I'm
quiz.
ready. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't ask me if Prigozhin is dead. I'm not qualified.
I
to
would never.
answer
I would
that
never get into that subject. I'm going to start with this instead.
one. Okay.
Name a well-traveled chef who had a mishap while traveling this week. Now,
uh,
both chef, just to give you more of a clue, in case both chef and mishap are in quotes. Okay.
well, I think I guessed it. It's not Chef Andres.
No. It's
So
you're going with Prigozhin?
yeah.
Correct. Correct. Now they get harder. What adage that employs a culinary metaphor is being invoked by some observers to explain why he didn't have this mishap earlier? An adage, we're going with the chef theme here. So it's an adage involving a culinary metaphor that might explain why he didn't have his mishap earlier.
It's not too many cooks. It's not.
Well, you could say there was one cook too many in the regime, and they got. But that's not what I had in mind. No.
He went off half baked.
I would say he went off more like half cocked. But that's a good point. He did. He did,
but he never.
We're not.
But he
we're not
never.
To the correct answer yet. No.
He served no wine before his time. That's why he wasn't offed earlier.
You got the right verb. You got the right verb. Served. You got the right verb. Closing in on it. I can feel you closing in on it.
Served.
That's good that you can even come up with three culinary.
He served a dish that wasn't
oh my
ready
God,
for prime
you're so
time.
close. You're so close. Oh,
never.
Sorry,
revenge is a dish best served cold.
Sorry, time was up. We were looking for revenge is a dish best served cold, but we were looking for it within the allotted time limit. And I'm sorry, Mickey, you didn't make it. But that's
look who thinks he's Brett Baer.
I was thinking more of Alex Trebek, actually. So a couple of things. There's more questions on the list, but first, quickly, in terms of takes going around, I think most observers seem to be saying this makes the regime stronger. Sent a pretty clear message to aspiring palace coup sponsors that they should rethink, and just kind of reminded people who's in charge. Not according to who. There have been other takes, but go ahead.
Applebaum, your friend Ann Applebaum.
Well, of course, she wants us to think that the regime is on the verge of collapsing, which she thinks would be a good thing for some reason.
Her comment was actually pretty good. She obviously wishes this were true, but she says Prigozhin had a lot of high-level supporters in Putin's government, and are they going to wait for Putin to come for them next, or are they going to take action decisively to strike at the core of their enemy? That's the question. To protect themselves, and so she thinks there's going to be. She was.
Pro-coup. They're going to stage a preemptive. She means close allies of Prigozhin.
I know she implies there are a lot of rich people in the Russian elite who are supporters of Prigozhin. Putin knows who they are, so they can't take any plane trips because the chances are they're going to fall out of the sky, or fall off a balcony. So are they going to wait to fall off a balcony, or are they going to seize their own fate and strike now?
I think that doesn't make sense to me. First of all, the people who should be worried in theory are people who were with Prigozhin in this enterprise. Okay. But a few of those are now dead because they were in the plane. And the most important of the other ones, I mean, arguably, the General Surovikin, who apparently is thought by the Kremlin to have been kind of going along with this until he wasn't and taped the video opposing it, perhaps under duress. He has been relieved of command. So he's been kind of punished, and I don't know if he's going to have to leave the military. So yeah.
He's the guy who designed the defenses that are now working.
Yeah. In fact, if the quiz had continued, you've anticipated almost all my questions. There's only one you haven't upstaged, but one was going to be what former ally of Prigozhin suffered a career setback, Surovikin. And then how is that ally's legacy being tested by the Ukrainian army? You're right. The Surovikin line, so-called Surovikin line, even as we speak, the Ukrainian army is making an attempt to, I think, breach the first thing they will have breached. If they do it, that can be called one of the main defensive lines, is my understanding. It's a little bit, it's in between, it's to the east of Ravatna, and in between that and some village starting with the V, a little bit to the south, and they're pouring a lot into it. This is a pretty big moment. I mean,
are they using our joint strike tactics? There's a big argument apparently between our military and their military. We're saying they should go back to the NATO tactics that they didn't learn very well and didn't work very well, which is use of multiple arms at the same time. There's a word for it, but I keep forgetting what it is.
Combined arms warfare.
Yeah. And or are they going their own way and using their own tactics?
It's a little unclear. I mean, there was this spate of stories where American officials were anonymously complaining that the Ukrainians had screwed up by three things actually. But two of them were, not concentrating their forces more on this one, on the axis they are focused on now. And the other was actually using combined arms warfare. They are bringing a lot of armor in now, and that would be one sign of combined arms warfare, but I really don't know. And the truth is the line is blurry between these approaches.
Right.
And they don't have one of the key elements that's often deployed, which is, really significant air power. So I don't know, but we'll see. Apparently they really, really, really want to say they breached a significant defensive line. I would say that even if they do this, they've got, depending on what route they take, as I read the maps, either two or three significant, at least equally formidable lines of defense before they get to Tokmak, I think is the name of the city. And that is at best halfway to what originally was the goal, Melitopol. And they had certainly, they've now thrown at least part of all of the brigades prepared for this into the fight. It was 12 or 13 brigades. And certainly they had planned to be much further along. So, but, it would be something.
Isn't Tokmak the popular NPR correspondent who was fired? No, that's Tim Mock.
I didn't know about that, actually.
He was just fired for budgetary reasons, but he's the guy who posts every day Kiev is still in Ukrainian hands.
Well, he's right.
He was good. He was good. They shouldn't have let him go.
So quickly on this,
he's still posting. Go ahead.
Before we move on to your next quiz question, which will be the final one, I just want to say I think most observers are saying this makes the regime stronger, more secure. I yesterday spoke to a really, really astute and well-known observer of all this, and that's his view. And, you know, I would say, I mean, remember when the Prigozhin thing first happened, Michael McFaul said, see, Putin's a paper tiger. You say if you corner him, he'll fight back, but no, don't worry about it. He folded, he was bluffing, he capitulated. As I pointed out at the time, capitulated was just technically wrong since he didn't meet Prigozhin's demands. I thought, given the challenge he faced, 5,000 troops considered war heroes by many Russians, marching on Moscow, he'd handle it not that badly. But in any event, now in retrospect, I think you have to say that the McFaul take holds up even less well. I mean, he do not corner Putin. I mean, try convincing like the ghost of Prigozhin that it's not a mistake to corner Putin.
But why isn't it like Iraq, where we demobilized the Saddam army, and then we had all these ex-Saddamists running around, fighters on the loose? He now has all the Wagner forces decapitated with their, without their heads of their force running around. What are they going to do? They're going to make trouble. Ann Applebaum already quoted a tweet saying this just shows you have to go all the way to the end, i.e., they should have gone all the way to Moscow. They shouldn't have stopped. So, I don't know what country they're in. I don't know how many of them there are, but they are the backbone of the army that, helped Russia do whatever success it's had in the battlefield. And they're now pissed off and angry.
Is she really saying Prigozhin should have gone all the way to Moscow? First of all, he wasn't there.
No,
he was back in,
He's quoting a post-Prigozhin death message from some of his backers who were pissed off, saying this just shows we should have gone all the way.
Oh, well, good luck. You'd be dead now. I mean, there were no signs of actual support for the thing materializing, and that's what Prigozhin perceived, and that's why he backed down. But I do think, I will say that the fact that it's the way Putin did this. I mean, well, two things. I think one reason that this dish of revenge was best served cold from his point of view is one thing they've done in the meanwhile is nailed down a lot of this Wagner stuff. It wasn't a simple matter for the government to establish control over all of Wagner's operations. And I don't know if they've done that, but they're probably a lot closer to that than they would be. Operations in Africa and so on, and making sure that any rambunctious Wagner remnants aren't a threat. I imagine they've done some of that. And that was also yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish.
I was just going to say that may explain why they did this. I mean, it seems to me there's some cost to Putin of doing it this way. Like he clearly, and this hasn't typically been the case. I mean, two things. Typically with people he's thought to have taken out in Russia and elsewhere, it hasn't been 100% sure that he did it. And there have been doubts even among reasonable, serious observers. Right. This time it seems like there's almost no other explanation. And also they've been pretty tightly focused in that he just hit the target, right? And this time everyone, there must be a lot of Russians who recognize that he did this. And look, he killed a stewardess. He killed a number of innocent, several innocent bystanders. So the whole thing is in a way cruder, and in a way he pays a certain kind of price with some people, I would think, for having done it in this way. But I guess the imperative to show elite, aspiring coup plotters at the elite level, whose boss was important. And also, as for why he did it rather than just like try to more subtly kill just Prigozhin, I guess he wanted to get rid of these other guys. It included
right. I think it was a critical mass of Wagner leaders, and sort of was too good to resist. Also, it was exceptionally brutal, which has a demonstration effect. I mean, they have the video of the plane spiraling down to the ground. I mean, it's just humiliating for Prigozhin. Yeah. And it's like the Twin Towers falling. I don't
think humiliation is his main problem right now. But anyway, I suppose it was briefly humiliating.
In terms of the message that it sends, it's like not only will you die, but you're being your theory were so
Yeah.
strong. Here is your plane spiraling into the ground.
You'll have these 5 seconds of knowing that I'm killing you.
No, it has nothing to do with what Prigozhin was thinking at the time.
Yeah.
It has to do with what people are thinking when they see the video.
I do wonder about that, though. It's like when that hits, the plane didn't go up in flames, but it's disabled, and you wonder if they looked around and go, "Well, he got us." You know, it's just weird if they were still alive for a few seconds or what. I don't know how these things work.
Well, there's you don't buy any of the second Prigozhin theories.
Oh, that he's really out there, and this was all staged.
He has multiple people with the name Prigozhin that he sends around, and the question is, did they get the right Prigozhin?
Oh, I see. I taped a podcast with Nikita, our friend Nikita, yesterday. Actually, it's posts in a couple of days. It's available to paid Nonzero newsletter subscribers now, but he said that there is this conspiracy theory in Russia, which is fertile ground for conspiracy theories generally, that it was all in some sense staged and Prigozhin's out there. I mean, I don't know if the theory is the shoot down was staged, or that Prigozhin, kind of suckered Putin into doing it by sending a double. I don't know, but it all seems to me, I don't buy that stuff.
Yeah. I don't either. So enough of the Bob topics. I'm going for an alpha moment, Bob.
Okay, but the final, well, 2 things. We have to say that this is going to be shorter than usual. This in the Parrot Room today, right? Because, I blame my wife. It's her birthday. That's why this is. Next week, we are taking Labor Day off, so there's nothing next week. But and then also your final quiz question. What this is pretty complicated. What Clausewitz adage is being illustrated by critiques of both Ukrainian and Russian strategy? It's too complicated for you to get, but there is the most famous Clausewitz adage.
Isn't the most famous one, never interfere with your enemy when he's in the process of destroying himself?
Did Clausewitz say that?
I don't know.
That was a genius. I was thinking war is politics by other means.
Oh, okay.
2 of the critiques going around. One is still going around, including from anonymous U.S. officials, that Ukraine has wasted some of its most experienced troops in Bakhmut and continues to do so. But the critique of the Russian army that should give Ukraine maybe a little hope. And I was going to say, if you ask why would Ukraine have done that, the argument would be that it was ultimately for political reasons. The politicians wanted to do it. And I've heard, by the way, as recently as a week ago, there was a big argument between the politicians in Kyiv and the military strategists about whether to do what they're doing, which in this account, the politicians wanted. The military strategists were saying, look, let's go into defensive mode, and that the politicians wanted to keep going. Well, they've kept going. On the Russian side, the cause for Ukrainian hope, maybe a little, is that Michael Kaufman was saying that the Russians have much more than was anticipated been willing to lose men in fighting Ukraine in the so-called crumple zone, right? The idea of this echelon defense is, okay, ultimately Ukraine's going to get to the first line of defense. You spend a little manpower trying to make them take losses doing it, but you don't turn every village into a battle until the end. And Russia has done a little more of that, and some people hope that means Russia is a little more spent than you might think, and they're ripe for some kind of dramatic breakthrough. Anyway, I would think if that's happening, that could also be a politically motivated strategy. Okay, now I'm done. And I presumably you're going to turn. Do I get to guess what you're going to turn the topic to?
My alpha moment failed. Obviously, this is why
you're
I'm
dealing
not an
with.
alpha.
Yeah. No, you just rolled over.
Yeah.
I just raised my voice, and you just rolled over.
No. I know. It's the story of my life.
Yep.
Anyway, you're not supposed to say yep.
Okay.
You're supposed to say, oh no, Mickey.
No, Mickey, it was a tough fight, but in the end, the better man won. How's that?
There you go. Something like that. Well, there was this debate. There were a number of interesting takeaways from the debate. DeSantis. I thought DeSantis did badly at first, and he had 2 or 3 good moments. He was obviously coached to go for the alpha moment. So at one point, he seizes the topic of global warming from Brett Baer and says, these hand raising exercises are silly. He had 2 or 3 with that. Then he went back to being a little stiff, and so he did well enough. He did well enough to win the debate in some polls, but not well enough to establish his dominance over the field in a way that would challenge Trump, one-on-one. Vault him out of that tier and into it's Trump and DeSantis in the field. No, it's Trump and a field with DeSantis in charge. But it's good enough for now. It's a long race. He did well enough. He's still a little stiff. In fast forward, he didn't seem to, which is how I watched the debate. He didn't seem to bobble his head that much. Chris Christie did terribly. It was like, he was incredibly disappointing. He was sort of off key and ugly. I mean, you had to look at him.
Well, Mickey,
of the lighting
there's some things that none of us can help.
But you can make Chris Christie look better, or you can make him look like a little rumpled fat guy. And they made him look like a little rumpled fat guy. And but he had a good Chris Hitchens thing. He had a good Chris Hitchens thing going where the audience hated him and they reacted back against it. So I mean, Chris Hitchens used to say conservative things, and the audience would boo him, and he'd go "fuck you." Okay, Chris Christie was like a moment away from going "fuck you" to all the Trumpists in the audience. Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy had an interesting debate over Ukraine, where Nikki Haley said, "You're not experienced enough. You're a rookie. I know that Ukraine is important, and we have to fight." And Mike Pence also had that fight, and the "you're a rookie" complaint never wins. It's a ridiculous complaint to make. And Ukraine, so Ramaswamy did very well by staking out his very clear anti-Ukraine position, whereas DeSantis has sort of the same position but fudged a little bit. So that was a good moment for Ramaswamy. You didn't see that?
No, and there's a reason. That's because I didn't watch the debate. I was counting on you to save me that time, and plus I would have. Actually, we had. It was the one night per year or so when we actually had guests. So
Mr. Birthday, Mr. Guest, you
it's
you
just
complain when
nonstop
I go out
festivities.
to a bar on every fourth Friday, and you're like party.
Plus, you caught my reference to talking to an astute and well-known observer of world affairs. That was lunch. That was lunch yesterday, Mickey.
And who was that?
We dined. What?
Other than Nikita, who was it?
It's none of your beeswax.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't ask him if it was okay if I revealed publicly.
I'm glad you didn't bring it up.
He may be ashamed of having lunch with me. I'm in some circles. Anathema, Oh, by the way, speaking of which, Ann Coulter got published in the New York Times. Oh my God.
Well,
is that true?
I
didn't read it.
They had a pre-debate thing with her and Frank Bruni and somebody else who I should remember, but I don't. Frank Bruni's an old friend of hers, so that probably helped. Frank Bruni is the least left, lib political columnist they have. So he was very good and fair-minded when he was covering the campaign.
So listen, I did not see the debate, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you missed. You missed. You were about to comment on it. Was it Fred Kaplan who savaged your position on we missed an opportunity to have peace in Ukraine in Slate?
He didn't mention me by name, did he?
No. Even worse, he savaged your position without mentioning you by name.
Well, it's not only my position; it's like Mark Milley's position. Oh no, he claims that Milley didn't quite say what people are saying. He
claims that Milley's being taken out of context, but it wasn't quite convincing because Milley throws in a couple of boilerplate things saying, "Of course, we should back Ukraine to the hilt, and it's important to stop Putin's aggression." And he takes those seriously. The gist of Milley's comments was clearly, maybe we should think about cutting a deal now.
Yeah. No,
anyway.
I continue to claim vindication for writing Well, saying it on the podcast, but also writing in the Washington Post in December that, and I explicitly said, do not buy the claim that the wind is at Ukraine's back militarily. And I explained why, and it hasn't been at their back.
Yeah.
But
I want to deploy.
Hmm?
I want to deploy my big theory on Trump before we run out of time.
Sure.
My big theory, everybody's saying Trump, he's so dominant, he sucks the oxygen out of the room. I think this past week the past few months have been very good for Trump because first you have to remember people remember the Trump years fondly. They were good years until 2019. The economy was doing very well. The vast areas of flyover country were doing very well. People have a good memory, and they tend to forget how crazy Trump is. So when Trump goes off screen for a while, i.e., he's off Twitter, he's being indicted, he's otherwise busy, he rises. People don't remember how crazy he was. And so they had the Des Moines Register had concrete evidence that when they indicted him, he rose in the polls. So people have sympathy for him because he's indicted. And because he's indicted, he talks about his indictment and not the other crazy shit that he would come up with to fill the available media space if he wasn't indicted.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me the chances of him actually beating Biden have risen dramatically for that reason. People remember the good times. He's not reminding him how crazy he was. And he has sympathy for being indicted. And it's an incredible pile-on. 4 indictments of the leading it's a ridiculous liberal pile-on. And people are realizing that. And it also, Biden's having bad weeks. He's allegedly being attacked for not feeling empathy and feeling people's pain. All those are unfair, but nevertheless, they're having a toll. So I think this week dramatically shifted in sort of your direction of, God, the Democrats have to dump Biden if they want to stave off Trump. And I think, the idea that Trump can't win, so the Republicans have to dump Trump, is fading.
Mm-hmm.
Our one hope is that he's now on Twitter again, so he'll start saying crazy things and reminding people.
Is he on Twitter again? Is he on Twitter?
The day of the indictment, he went back on Twitter.
Is he calling it
And Musk
Twitter?
let him back on, so it's being considered a courageous act.
Is Trump calling it Twitter or X? If we keep calling it Twitter, I'll vote for him. This is an important cause to me.
Anyway, that's my theory that.
Well, let me ask you something.
Like many people, Trump, we think of Trump more fondly when he's not in our face.
Well, I've always been generically skeptical of the claim that, well, the indictments make him more likely to get nominated, but not more likely to get elected. I've never bought that because, for one thing, even if you're only talking about voters who would never vote for Biden, you can still affect turnout by getting them riled up, right? But my question to you, in terms of the actual evidence that the indictments have helped Trump, are you just talking about polls, intra-Republican polls, where his margin relative to DeSantis increases, or are you talking about? Okay.
The Des Moines Register poll of Republicans was in the field when he was indicted, and as soon as he was indicted, his numbers went up.
Right.
That's the evidence.
But that's asking people who they're going to vote for in the Republican primary. Right. So in other words,
I think so. I don't think it was the whole universe of voters.
I mean, I would be more.
That would have been more interesting.
Yeah, I would be more terrified if people who weren't going to vote for him in the general showed signs of wanting to vote for him. Whereas,
good question.
This sounds more like people who might not have turned out to vote for him in the general and might now turn out. That's my concern. And look, there's some Republican voters who are, well, the type who are favoring maybe Chris Christie. I mean, are there Republican primary voters who are against Trump and would rather vote for Biden than Trump?
Oh, sure.
Sure. So
I may be one of them.
Yeah. So yeah, that poll is, I think in any event, it should trouble Democrats about the general election. Although not as much as some of the polls might have. Yeah.
It's looking like the whole indictment avalanche, which was said to favor Biden, might turn out to be a disaster for him.
Well, I mean, it's just so obvious. When are these people going to learn you know, you know, when you're in this polarized kind of situation and the tribalism is running hot, most of the things that you reflexively feel you want to do to the other side actually help them.
Yeah, and but there is one thing that might say paradoxically save Biden. They're trying one of the defendants, Mr. Chesebro, who's a lawyer who used to work for Larry Tribe, first, and he's asked for a speedy trial, and they've given it to him. October 23rd is when he's supposed to go on trial. That's 2 months from now, and it seems to me he has a very strong case to get off. He wrote these legal memos about it. Gee, we need these alternate slates of electors. It's been done before. It worked for Kennedy. Every time they war game a contested election, the losing side comes up with alternate slates of electors. It's just what you do if you're on the losing end. Gore did it in Florida. So if this guy gets off, like a judge says, summary judgment for defendant, that puts a whole monkey wrench in the whole edifice of the other 17 or 18 defendants, doesn't it? It gets the prosecution off on a bad foot. It means the whole conspiracy RICO thing might be fatally weak. So maybe the whole thing collapses very quickly in time for it not to help Trump. That's one possibility. And Biden's being obnoxious about it. I mean, he put out a tweet saying, "Oh, on indictment day, oh, apropos of nothing, today's a good day to send me money." Well, I thought you were neutral and impassive and letting justice work. No, you're capitalizing
that
on it
seems to be
in
a
a cheap
mistake.
way.
I mean, I doubt it was actually his tweet, but you would think, I don't know to what degree they run these things by him. I doubt.
Well, he
they run all
sets
of
the
them by him.
tone. He sets the tone.
Yep.
Anyway, that's what I have
Now
to say.
yeah.
Chesebro is also, if they convict him, he's a logical person to turn on Trump because he has some vestige of respectability he can recover. On the other hand, it's going to take years for his appeal to wind all the way to the Supreme Court. So I don't think he has time to turn on Trump. But go ahead. Sorry.
Debate. So I just judging by reaction, having not watched it, I got the sense that Ramaswamy had in some sense dominated.
They spent a lot of time and all the fireworks attacking Ramaswamy and not attacking DeSantis. So
that's our curtain call. But
so Ramaswamy did, he was an alien virus, a novel virus to most of the debate viewers, and a lot of them reacted positively because he has a great rap. He's one of the great talkers. He had a fantastic closing. And he had a couple of good shots. He chided Christie for hugging Biden. That was for and et cetera, hugging Obama. Sorry, on the beach. Remember, right before the election against Romney. So the Republicans hate that. So they hate Christie even more now. But 40% of the people loved him and 20% of the people hated him. And he had that reaction, and so you would expect that to happen.
So that sound you heard was the sound of us needing to transition to the Parrot Room in this abbreviated, thanks, Lisa, abbreviated version of podcast and Parrot Room. No, I'm kidding. I wish her the happiest birthday, and we'll soon be doing that face to face as soon as I can get rid of you. But before we go to the Parrot Room, for shorter than average Parrot Room at patreon.com/Parrot Room, we should say give some clue what we're going to talk about. I'll continue. I had a thought about why Ramaswamy scares me so much that I'll continue. And I was also going to, I finally got around to focusing on the lyrics of the populist hit Men North of Richmond. Yeah, I want to talk about that. About the TV show Extraordinary Attorney Woo, and a little bit about Elon Musk. What do you have?
They began the debate by playing that song, by the way. So I was singing it last week.
React to all the shots at obese people.
I was singing about it last week, and Brett Baer is singing about it this week. Bob, stick with me. Also, my crackpot theory of Newsom appointing Kamala Harris was in the LA Times 3 days later.
Excellent.
I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm eerily present, but
all the elite journalists listen to us. Have you not noticed how we virtually dictate the headlines? For example, New York Times headline, Ukrainian troops on front lines laud offensive. This was the lead story in the New York Times, by the way, the lead story. And then the next head is upbeat despite issues. Commanders say forces are in better shape than months ago. I may have time to talk about that in the Parrot room.
that is in the New York Times today?
It was a couple of days ago. It was like the lead.
Isn't that like total propaganda?
100%, as they say.
Okay.
But what's interesting is that they made it, like, I understand why a given reporter needs to do a thing that sources like every once in a while, but the decision to make it the lead story in the Times is a fascinating one.
Yeah. So I have four things: the hype of Hurricane Hilary, the emergence of shrink as an acknowledged factor. Shrink is shoplifting from stores as an acknowledged factor in the economy, from being a fringe right-wing theory that only cocoonists believe, to being adopted by American business as the excuse for declining profits. I have a point to make about Bidenomics and E.J. Dionne, and I have a point to make about do candidates have to be optimistic these days? I don't think they have to be optimistic, but I do think they have to be something. Anyway.
I agree. A candidate who is nothing is just nothing. I've always said that. I think Clausewitz was the first to say that. So
politics is the pursuit of nothing by other means.
By other
Larry
means.
David may have said that.
Or by no means. I think it was politics is by no means the pursuit of nothing. I think that's it. So patreon.com/Parrot Room. Even if you're not going to go there and you want to do a solid, you could smash the like button if you're on YouTube. Rate and review the Nonzero podcast if you're not, or maybe do all of everything that we ask. And that's about it. I guess the Parrot may have a word.
I am the alpha. I am the alpha.
That and more awaits you in the Parrot Room, folks.